Yo, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at this whole it is illegal to sell your PlayStation games. Now, I did cover this in my previous stream yesterday. We are going to be streaming it as well tomorrow. The community decided that they wanted me to actually play Kong, and we're going to suffer together. So if you're interested in that, definitely do come and hang out. We're going to be streaming over at YouTube. Now, in terms of this, what we are seeing here is actually something quite different. And as you can see here, you must not resell either disc-based games or digital games unless expressly authorized by us, and if the publisher is in another company, additionally by the publisher. Now, Icon Era has actually come out recently and said that this is fake news and that it is misleading. It is absolutely not misleading. It is absolutely not fake news in that regard. It clearly states here in their terms of service that you cannot do it. However, what isn't stated and is pretty common knowledge is the fact that at the end of the day, this is unenforceable. There is no way that they can enforce this. Now, if we're looking at this over at Xbox, it says that this license does not give you any right to, and you may not, publish, copy, rent, lease, sell, export, import, distribute, or lend the software or the services unless Microsoft expressly authorizes you to do so. Basically the same thing Sony's saying. Transfer the software, any software licenses, or any rights to access or use the service, and that includes physical. So as you can see, Microsoft has the same policies as well when it comes to their games. And so they're not any different. Now, this has been something that has been around for generations. I mean, I've seen it from PS3. I think I might have seen it on PS2. I even remember like old Mega Drive games that used to have the term "not for resale" on the back of some of their boxes. So this isn't nothing new. It's been there for pretty much as long as I can remember. And I know a couple of people were asking me to make this video to get my opinion on it, and this is basically it. I don't think this is any real news. I actually don't know why that policy is even there. This literally makes no sense to me. But if you look at like some of the other PlayStation games, resale and rental are prohibited unless express. It's been there for a long time. And you have something very similar here with Xbox. Unauthorized copying, reverse engineering, transmission, public performance, rental, for example, play or circumvention of copy protection or is strictly prohibited. Now, this doesn't expressly say that you can't sell it, but it's basically saying that you can't rent it, you can't borrow it, you can't offer it to someone else for money. So it's essentially the same thing. Now, is this news? I guess so. And I know Icon Era has said that this is fake news and this is rubbish and that this is not real. It's absolutely real, 100%. If Sony wanted to enforce this today and they could find a way to enforce it, just like Microsoft, they can enforce it and can stop you using your physicals in somewhere else. Future physicals that are coming, they could literally put a code on there that's a one-time code that attaches to your gamer tag. At that point, once that disc is in and it's connected to the internet and it's registered, the next person who buys that game, the game simply won't boot because it will be looking for your gamer tag. That is an easy way for them to do this, and they can do it if they want to, but obviously they haven't. Now, the question is, if Microsoft went third party, would Sony do something like this? Who knows? At that point, if they actually had the power, they potentially could, and this is why giving someone that much power is stupid. And the fact that people want Microsoft to go third party so Sony could be the only platform available is the dumbest thing you could ever want in the gaming industry. It would be catastrophically bad. And it's good that this sort of conversation is happening now, because at the end of the day, this just highlights how dangerous it would be for one company to completely dominate in terms of being the only monopoly there. If Microsoft left, no one cares about Nintendo, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but they do their own thing. Nintendo is Nintendo, and Nintendo does Nintendo things. They don't get involved with Xbox or PlayStation. They just do their own thing. They release their Mario, and they're happy, right? They'll release a Nintendo Switch 2. Sales are going bad, they'll attach an M onto that series Switch 2. Off they go. That's another 100 million sold. Easy. Done. So Nintendo do their own thing. But when it comes to this highlights an issue where where the scale tipping too far into one way, or for one of them to literally just exit the market and leave it all to the other. This is something that could be enforceable. So, Icon Era turning around and trying to completely destroy RTG's credibility by saying that they lied about this. They did not lie. This is real, right? If they could find a way to enforce this, you bet your money that they'll probably try to do it. Of course, if they did try to enforce this, all the second-hand shops out there, like in the UK, we have Computer Exchange, we have Game that does, pre-owned games as well, and a few other shops that actually, do pre-owned games. They would disappear overnight. They would be gone, right? Because their main business is pre-owned games, buying and selling. So this wouldn't just affect the consumer. This would be a massive shake-up to the whole business side of things too. So I can't really ever see them ever enforcing this. It just doesn't, it just doesn't make sense at all. And I know the outcry right now from a lot of people is, oh my God, look at PlayStation, they're doing this. And then you got Microsoft here, and no one's really talking about the Microsoft one because it doesn't actually maybe suit their agenda. I don't know. But the PlayStation one obviously is clear cut in what it's saying in disc-based games or digital. I guess the only thing that the Xbox One has is that it doesn't mention anything about a disc-based product. So it's a bit vague and ambiguous. But PlayStation made it perfectly clear. But this has been there since the PS3 days. I don't even know if it's been there since the PS2 days, but definitely the PS3 days has been there. Now, of course, this isn't the first time that, this has been a problem. This, like I said, these terms of service were available on the PS3. And we do know that back in 2013, this again was a talking topic, especially when this appeared in the terms of service in 2013. And Shuhei Yoshida came about saying, if you are concerned about our new European terms of service, we can confirm that you are able to sell or share your disc PS4 products, including in EU. This was a clarification made in 2013. So unless it's stated otherwise by someone, and he's pretty high up in Sony, right? Unless it's clearly stated otherwise, the bottom line is this isn't really the news people are thinking it is. I get it. It's dangerous. The fact that they can enforce it anytime that they want to, that is a real danger, right? And this is why those people saying that Xbox should go first party, leave the gaming industry, this is the sort of thing that could happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but this is the sort of thing that could happen. And if it does happen, only the consumer will cry. And those PlayStation fans who was begging for Xbox to leave the industry will then turn around and start begging for Microsoft to come back to put some control into Sony, because Sony, as we know, are quite arrogant. Once the power gets to their head, they kind of lose the plot a bit. We saw this with the PS3, right? With the PS2, they tried hard and they went gung-ho all out, and they did a good job with the PS2. With the PS3, they got arrogant and they got their ass handed to them all the way until the finishing line, where they finally, started to take that ass kicking and provide a bit of humility, a bit of humbleness. And then they kind of learned from those mistakes with the PS4. But it looks like, every once in a while, their arrogance will get to them. And the only way to keep that arrogance in check is to make sure there is healthy competition. And healthy competition comes with both parties firing on all cylinders, not with one party leaving the industry. Because if it does, then things like this, where they say it is, 100% allowed and you can do it, could easily be reversed because it's in the terms of service that you're signing, right? So that's the danger of having a one company monopoly. But as of right now, you can sell your games on both platforms, trade them in, do what you want. It is unenforceable. There's no way for them to actually enforce it. They can't see me going and buying a game. When I go to the shop and buy a game, I don't leave my details, my bank, and I don't leave any personal details there. So they can't see that I've purchased a game, right? Sure, they might be able to track it down to a credit card, but not everyone uses a bank card to pay. Some people pay cash. What about those people? Some people don't actually have their consoles connected to the internet. So what about those people? It's not to think that this is actually something that they can enforce right now is ludicrous. They can't. But if you're asking me, would they like to enforce it? Outside of the companies that will berate them and try and murder them, yeah, they would, because this means more people buying brand new games that actually go to Sony. Don't forget, secondhand games don't go to Sony, don't go to Microsoft. That's lost revenue to them. All that revenue go to the businesses. And let's face it, neither of those two give a shit about the businesses. They care about the money going to them. Hence why an all-digital future is lovely for these companies, because they get all the profits. That's that's just the way it is. And that's the push for it. It's always down to profits. And so if they could enforce it, they absolutely would. But right now, I can't see a damn way, outside of the one I mentioned earlier in the video, where they could enforce this. And even if they tried to, I think the regulators globally would cripple the company that even remotely tried to do something like this, because the amount of businesses that would be affected by this is quite large. Well, anyway, that's my thoughts on this. That's my feelings. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. My legend.